Disclaimer: all views expressed on What Makes Us Fire are solely those of the person or persons giving them. What Makes Us Fire does not represent or claim to represent any particular city or fire department, and therefore make the claim that all views and standpoints are affiliated with What Makes Us Fire and with What Makes Us Fire only. Any mention of certain fire departments or cities within the interviews are solely for informational and opinion-based dialogue. In short, if you have a problem with what's published, just say something about it and don't be a Richard. What is up? What Makes Us Fire Family? How is everybody doing? I know it's been a minute. However, month of February, it's kind of sucked. Between a fractured rib, losing a mentor, and contracting COVID, I've been a little bit out of it, but I'm back. We are back. On this episode of the podcast, we have J.P. Wrights, military veteran who, on his social media platform, likes to tell people how it is. You know, us here at What Makes Us Fire don't really like to get too political, but JP kind of built a standing on it. But he built a standing on it, showing that no matter what your outlook, he respects you. He respects everyone. He's been through some mental health issues, and because he's been through it, he understands that everybody deserves respect. Our episode gets a little quick at times, so try to keep up. I hope you enjoyed this episode and really learned something from it. JP, he has some really good insight. He's smart. Yeah, he's a good-looking dude. I say that way too much about my guests. Anyway, What Makes Us Fire Family, please help me welcome J.P. Wright. Thank you for coming on What Makes Us Fire, brother. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you reached out to me.
Dude, you fall in line with the idea and the mission wholeheartedly, like full stop. You exude and you show what Makes Us Fire is trying to really show. So that's why I invited you on. If you didn't, I wouldn't have asked. Like,
yeah,
it's as simple as that.
I feel like that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem with one of those things is you know, everybody's afraid to be politically incorrect, and they're like, I've got to say this. No, you don't have to say that. And man, everybody's just so damn soft nowadays. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think it's more than just being soft. Is that nobody likes their ideas challenged anymore.
Right.
It's look, they think they have this strong conviction of their idea that if they hear a counter, it's not valid because their conviction's so strong. Well, if your conviction is so strong, if your true belief is so strong, hearing a counter shouldn't be that much of an issue. It should be, I can hear the counter and I'll be able to debate you logically. I'll be able to debate you with facts. I'll be able to actually possibly change your mind because I believe in it so much. But that's not it. It's there's holes in the argument, and when you point them out, no, you're wrong. Period. End of story. No logic, no true belief. It's just a feeling. And while feelings should be part of your convictions, they shouldn't be all of your convictions.
Right. And everybody takes things too personal. I think that's another big thing. Is everybody's an emotionally connected person to their argument. And so it's just like you said, you know, when somebody doesn't see eye to eye, they're like, oh, well, you're ugly, you're stupid. And so they just start with this like personal attack and using
Yeah.
their emotions instead of
Well,
like a
because
factual basis.
they're so tied to the idea that they think that it's part of them. And
Yep.
it's like, no, it's just your idea. It's not who you are. It's just a part of what you're thinking. Me challenging that is not challenging your character. It's just challenging that idea. Separate the two, please. Like,
Yep.
separate the two. Allow the idea to be challenged without feeling personally attacked. And it's hard for
Right.
people to do that, especially when they're really, really convicted in that feeling and that idea. It makes no sense. Makes no fucking
Right.
sense.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, JP, again, thank you for coming on What Makes Us Fire. I gave you kind of a little bit of a rundown what we're about. We're very mental health forward when it comes to veterans, when it comes to first responders. And I've seen you be an advocate for that, for helping people out when they're not feeling 100%. A lot of your videos are very, very politically forward, not going to lie. But look, that's part of the difference of people. It's part
Yep.
of us being in this great fucking nation is we're allowed to have a different opinion, and we shouldn't be felt like we're personally attacked for having that opinion. It's the same thing. It's that whole stigma that we fight too with mental health. It's okay to have a mental health issue, and I shouldn't be personally attacked for having it. You're not going to personally attack me for having a broken arm, are you? No,
Right.
I broke my arm. No big deal. You personally attacked me for having a broken arm. You're a dick. But we can attack somebody for having a mental health issue because they're not right, or they're broken. Fuck that shit. No, it's the same thing. It's having a broken arm. Usually, how I like to start off the show, brother, is how I met you and how I got you to come on the show. It's
Yeah.
really quick. JP writes, you are a content creator on TikTok. Whether you like to admit it or not, you are a social media influencer, and your content is, yes, like we said, it's very politically forward. However, you're doing it in a way that you're trying to just tell people, look, it's just another point of view. You don't have to hate for another point of view. And
Yep.
you try to do that. And I've seen plenty of your videos where people will just come down on you and berate you, and you're just like, look, you decided to say this, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to pray for you. I hope you have a good day. I might not agree with you, but I hope you be better. And
Yep.
it takes a really big person to just let it go like that. Right. And you do that. You've been able to do that. You show yourself to do that. You show yourself as a person who is capable of doing that. And when I saw those videos, I was just like, yeah, absolutely. I need this guy on the show because he shows what I believe we should be as human beings, no matter what side of the aisle you're on politically, no matter what your lifestyle is, no matter who you are, you should be able to just be okay with not being looked at as the status quo.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I TikTok stalked you, not gonna lie. uh, and I reached out and I messaged you, and you thought it was pretty cool, which I appreciate, by the way. I reached out to you, of course. I TikTok stalked you. I haven't seen you go live very often. You're not one to go live very often. A lot of your content is
Wow.
just the content.
Yep.
You and your wife are very much involved in making content together, which is fucking hilarious, by the way. And you guys are all over the place when it comes to your content together. And
Yeah. Yeah,
it
we are.
brings a smile to my fucking face. Like the other day, I don't know what the hell you were doing, man. I don't know if you're trying to do yoga, if you're trying to do fucking Karate Kid position or whatever. She was recording you with the big head filter on, and you
Yeah,
had no
man.
idea. And I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, here he is thinking he's looking good right now, and he looks like a fucking jackass. He has no
Yep.
idea. And she
Yep.
posted it anyway.
Yep. 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 And man, it started like, honestly, I just told her like one joke one time and she came back with like the fastest fucking response. And I was like, whoa, first of all, that was a really good comeback. Second of all, we need to start doing this. And so like a lot of the stuff that we post together is literally just like the shit that we do on a regular basis. And a lot of people, I think they're like, oh, you do that shit for camera. Oh, no, I'm that fucking weird all the damn time. So
I believe it. I
yeah,
believe it.
I mean, there's a sense of, and you won't see like politics on hers very rarely. Um, that's kind of more my thing, so to speak. But she likes to keep like the good environment and stuff like that too. But people when they come at me, they'll try to come at her, and then they'll kind of look at her content, and they're like, well, maybe they're not that bad. Hey, sorry, I judged you. So
It's crazy how people jump into conclusions about who
yeah,
someone is because of an idea. Remember,
yep,
just an idea, not who they are. It's just
right,
a thought process.
yeah,
Does not define who the person is.
yep.
And we're going to get all into all that. But yeah, that's how we met, man. I TikTok stalked you. Simple as that. I actually was considering having you and Rose on at the same time because I think that would have just been fucking phenomenal. And I might
Oh yeah,
ask you guys to do that later on.
yeah, man. But she'd be down for it. She'd love to do it.
Oh, it's also good getting a spouse's perspective from somebody
Yeah,
that's in the military and
yep,
what they deal with and how they cope because their story is just as important as the person that does the job, right?
yep.
Um, After I let people know how I met you, which is again fairly simple, I'd like to ask you if you can kind of give us a little bit of a background of who JP Wright is. Where did you come from? Where'd you grow up? Where did the mind of JP Wright, as crazy as it fucking is, come from?
I'm originally from New York. I was born in New York. Decided, when I was younger, I was like, I'm going to play football. I'm going to go to college and play football. And so New York schools, unlike, Tennessee, Texas, shit, even Florida, they go up to AA. And we were a B school and very little recruiting, had to do recruiting for myself, by myself, give my tape to coaches and stuff like that. And I ended up getting recruited by a college team. I had the shittiest experience. It's definitely not glitter glam, all that shit that people are like, oh, you're a football star. No, like the seniors were assholes to the freshmen. It was just a shitty environment. So I ended up transferring out of that school after my first semester, and I ended up going to another school who wanted me originally for football. And I was like, man, I hate schoolwork. I don't like it. And so in that transition time, before I transferred, I contacted a recruiter, and I ended up signing on, did MEPS and everything. Was about to go to boot camp, and was like, nah, something doesn't seem right. And so put it off for 6 more months, and 6 months later, I'm in Parris Island, South Carolina, doing boot camp.
What was your family life growing up? Like, did you have family that was military? Or
No,
so
no,
your first,
I have.
would you say your first generation?
Yeah, I've got one cousin. He was actually in the Marine Corps. He's a little bit older than me, but other than him, it's just me.
So what brought you to that idea of talking to a recruiter?
Ideally, I wanted to get into criminal justice, law enforcement, and stuff like that. And so I had always seen the commercials like any kid, and I was like, oh, that's badass. I'm gonna fucking do that. And some stuff was badass, but it wasn't. But more or less, I wanted to just like propel my life forward because I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to use this as a stepping stone or a stepping block to propel myself forward, to get a shoe in, because I knew college wasn't the route I wanted to go. And I knew that I needed military experience or college to be able to get into a police force. Um, so that was the initial thought. I wasn't like, oh, I want to go kill people, because you get those assholes that are like,
Yeah, they
oh,
think
I'm
that
gonna
you
be
joined the military because you want to go shoot somebody. No, fucker. You know how traumatic that is? Like, no,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, people don't realize that too. And a lot of the people that I still talk to, they're like, "Hey man, I'm thinking about joining the military." My biggest suggestion to them is, "Hey, find a job that's going to correlate well in the civilian sector, because when you get out, you can put that you killed people and shot guns on your resume, but nobody's going to give a shit. Nobody cares."
No, not in the civilian world. No. Civilian
Yep.
world, that does nothing for you here in a
Yep.
civilian life.
Yeah.
It's well respected that you're willing to put your life on the line and shoot back and fire back. It's
Right.
100% respected. But when you come home and that job's no longer a job anymore,
Yep.
I mean, you better start thinking really hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. People don't realize. I mean, it's cool. They don't think that far ahead. And I think that for me, my mom always said I had an old soul. Gotta love
Mm-hmm.
moms. And so I was always thinking my next step ahead. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And like, I didn't want to live for the moment. I wanted to prepare myself for the future. So
When you made that decision to go talk to the recruiter, how old were you?
the first time I was 18.
And then when did you
18.
enlist?
I was 19. So I
Oh,
went in
so
a
not
little bit older than everybody else, but
not
still
that
young
long
enough.
then. So not that
No,
long.
no, about a year. But it's crazy, man. You get a, like, even in boot camp, you had everybody that literally had just graduated high school. Their parents signed their uh, contract for them as a parent guardian because they weren't 18 yet. And then you had some people that were, 24, 25 that had just graduated college and couldn't find a job. And they were like, well, what the hell do I do with my life now?
During that process, you getting in and you finding out what it was about, did you even have an idea of what you were getting yourself into by doing this?
Hell no. And that's the crazy thing too, because you think the recruiters are your friend. And I try to tell people that now, like, dude, run those questions by me first, because the recruiter's going to tell you whatever, they want. And I still have buddies that are recruiters, and they will tell you what you want to hear. Hey, we don't have the MOS that you want, but there's this MOS, which is just as cool, but they don't tell you about all the shitty stuff. Um, but I mean, for the most part, they'll tell you, depending on your recruiter, they'll tell you the ins and outs of everything, but they definitely make it seem glamorous. Um,
So they definitely sold it.
yeah. Oh yeah. They're like a used car salesman. Absolutely.
So anybody, would you say somebody that was contemplating going into the military, going into the service, no matter the branch, because I think all recruiters, I mean, obviously you're trying to build the numbers. That's the point of a recruiter, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to build
Yep.
the numbers of the military. You need
Yep.
to really write down those fucking questions that, one, you want to ask, and two, if they bring back something else and you're not sure about it, come back later once you are. Don't make an immediate decision. Be very, very,
Yep.
very educated and informed on your decision. Not to say that
Absolutely.
recruiters
Yeah.
are purposefully lying to you, but they have to make
No.
it sound better for you to join. It's just like you said, a used car
Yeah.
salesman. They're going to tell you how great the car is, even though it's a used car. It's probably been banged up and beat up, and you're probably going to
Yeah.
have problems with it a few months down the line. That's what they do. That's their job. It's not wrong
Yep.
or right. It's just you got to be way more informed.
Mm-hmm. They just leave some details out. We'll say that.
Well, yeah, yeah. But really, that's on you to be informed. It goes back to
Yeah.
you
Right.
taking the time to educate yourself.
Yep. Absolutely.
When you signed up, what was your MOS that you signed up for? And then it sounds like maybe you didn't get the MOS you thought you're going to get.
Yeah. So it's crazy because, like I told you, my cousin, he was in the Marine Corps, and he was a grunt. And I was like, yeah, I was one of those. I was like, you know what? That'd be pretty cool to do, uh, foot patrols and stuff like that, and kicking in doors and stuff. Um, but then they told me, they're like, no, there's no boat space for that right now. And I was like, to be a grunt, what the hell? So at the time, they told me I had four options. One was a motor T operator, motor T mechanic, aviation something, two aviation jobs. I don't even remember what they were. And I ended up going with motor T, 35, 31.
Explain motor T for me, please, because I'm ignorant.
So I guess the easiest way to explain it, all your up armor trucks, your Humvees, 7 tons. Well, I think the Army calls them 5. I don't know what they call them now. Your big, long Connex box holders, you name it. You can basically anything you can get a license for,
Mm-hmm.
And then some. So the
And you
cool
work on
thing with
those?
that, no, I was an operator, which was pretty cool. So during like deployments and stuff like that, you could get attached to actual grunt units where you actually kind of had luxury because you got to sleep in your truck instead of the dirt.
Oh, so you were driving them. You were the
yeah.
Okay. So in the
Yep.
fire service, we would refer to that either as an equipment operator or a chauffeur. Basically, you were in charge of that truck. You were the one to make sure that it's running correctly. You're the one to make sure that the fluids are good. You're the one to make sure that 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 vehicle better not fucking break down.
Yep.
And your job is to get your guys to and from your mission or fire back safely. That's your mission, right? That's your goal.
Yeah, more or less. And I mean, but pretty much everybody that's in the truck, they end up getting that kind of license anyways. So if you're, an operator one day, you might be a gunner the next day, or sometimes they might say, hey guys, there's no truck available, or we're not taking trucks today. Put your fucking boots on and let's go walk.
So you ended up kind of being able to do what you wanted to do anyway.
Yeah, more or less.
Are you still enlisted?
No, I'm out now.
Yeah,
I'm out now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
So I previously was an owner of a meal prep company. We did meals for like stay-at-home moms, professional athletes. We had some pretty high-end clients and stuff like that. And it was just more or less like a convenience thing. Then we ended up selling it, and I went into a completely different employment route with an environmental company. So that's what I'm doing now.
So you work with an environmental company now?
Yeah.
Oil, gas type stuff?
It's more like, yes and no. They do a lot of like used cooking oil and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So all the women who use that makeup, that's what it's made out of, is used cooking oil. It's actually really fucking disgusting. Yeah. But it pays good. It pays good.
Oh God. That just reminds me of how lipstick is made, like whale fat and whale sperm and
Yeah,
all
man.
that other shit.
Yeah, it is. Like that. I don't know what all the makeup's called, but all the stuff that women put on their faces, that's what it's made out of. Chapstick, they make chapstick out of it. Yeah, so they're wearing it.
Oh man.
If they only saw what was in there, and as shitty as of a job that it is, it actually pays really good, which is why people stick around in it. But it sucks.
So I'm gonna get a little bit deeper now. I appreciate you kind of giving us a little bit of a background on what you do and how you got into it, man. And I know we're moving a little bit fast for everybody listening. We're moving a little bit fast. We're a little bit on a time constraint, but that's okay because we'll be able to get and hit the points that I really want to hit with you, man. While you were in the service, and the fact that you were in the service is one of the main reasons why I asked you to be on the show, because What Makes Us Fire has created a foundation to help veterans and first responders get inpatient mental health treatment. And the whole point of the podcast is to show that no matter what kind of civil service you're in, be military or first responder, is that we're normal human beings first, right? And we just decided and chose to do an abnormal job. Being shot at is not a normal job, that people just sign up for all the time, but we chose to do it and we wouldn't change anything about it. The reason I'm saying all that is, while you're on your deployments, was there a point in time where you're like, holy shit, what did I sign myself up for?
Yeah. I think one of my first convoys. So there was my last deployment was in 2012. We were in Sangin, which is northern Helmand province, and at the time it was one of the most kinetic places in Afghan still, because pretty much everything had been cleared from the guys that were there before us, and everybody else in different areas and stuff like that. But there was I think it was maybe the first convoy we went out on. It was 6 trucks, and there's a spot where you go over this bridge. They called it Engineer Bridge, and it was supposed to be like a safe spot because you had Afghan National Army on about 100 yards away on both sides. And basically, engineers, they build a bridge over where an IED blasted, and so you have route clearance that typically goes in front of you. Sometimes you don't. You've got mine rollers on your trucks. And that was always my point, where if I had to take a piss, I would just open the door and take a piss out the door real quick. And so I remember we slowed down. I was a second Vic. I opened the door to take a piss like I normally do, and all of a sudden you see tracer rounds, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So I had to finish pissing, close the door, and then not even a couple of seconds later, you start seeing RPGs fly over your gunners' heads, and you got 6 trucks, and you've got multiple, small and large fire uh, coming over your head, and you're like, "Oh fuck!" And that moment, I was like, all right, here we go."
That was kind
I
of a
just want,
moment like, oh shit, this is what I signed up for.
I just wanted to take a piss. That's all I wanted.
um, I,
Yeah,
I'm. I guess I should have prefaced this, and I should have let you know that I would be asking you to kind of relive certain
yeah,
experiences, and experiences that a lot of times a lot of people in military and veterans and first responders that kind of don't want to really relive. Right? There's a reason why we want to forget those things and we don't want to relive them, but with my mission, I think it's we need to make it normal to talk about it again, because when we can make it
yeah,
normal and not so much of a stigma to talk about it again, people can start looking for that help, and they know they're not the only ones with those certain types of issues. Um,
yeah,
I kind of told you that and you were on board with it. So this is me digging into that.
yeah.
Did
No,
you ever
absolutely. I'm all about
find
it.
did you ever find during that time while you're there that it was starting to make a difference in your psyche, whether it be PTSD or depression or anxiety or anything like that? Did you start noticing yourself change in the way you were thinking?
At the time, no. I mean, looking at it now, looking back at it, absolutely. Um, normal people, like, so our platoon was fobbed out. So we were on a much smaller fob than a lot of people on, within the wire. And we were attached with, like I said, a grunt unit. And that particular area, you would always hear small arms fire going day in, day out, nighttime. And it got to the point where if you didn't hear it, it was almost unsettling. Like, you know how some people sleep with a box fan because it gives
Mhm.
them peace, it allows them to have that white noise, so to speak. When I, looking back on it now, couldn't sleep because there wasn't gunfire, I was like, oh shit, that's probably not normal.
Oh, like something's about to go down.
Yeah. And typically, like 9 times out of 10, like looking back at it now, and you start to get patterns and stuff like that. When there wasn't any, firing going on, there was somebody digging an IED inside the berm outside your fob or cop, which happened several times. So it was always, well, all right, what's happening now, kind of thing.
When you came out, when did you come out? If you don't mind me asking.
2013.
2013, honorable discharge, I'm
Mhm.
assuming.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Uh, I wouldn't think anything otherwise. I just asked so everybody knows. But
Yeah,
uh,
believe it or not, some of the comments that I get and questions are, "I hope you get honorably or dishonorably discharged." Fuck you, this, that, and the other. I'm like, all right, cool.
wow,
So you'd be surprised with people's thought process.
people are fucking horrible. But we'll get into all that. Uh, when you came out and you came back home, were you with your wife at that time during your deployment, or did you meet her afterwards?
Afterwards, yeah.
Afterwards, when it, the reason why I ask all this, I'm kind of setting up a scenario, right? Because
Mhm.
going and experiencing something like that, it changes you. Whether you want to admit it or not, it changes you. It changes your outlook on life. It changes how you deal with stress, all those things. And sometimes when you're with a spouse prior to leaving, they see a huge difference, right?
Right, right.
But when you find a spouse afterwards, they are experiencing who you are now, not the who you were before.
Hmm.
And did you find that difficult to kind of, I guess, be really who you were or wanted to be? Or did you find it like, fuck, I need to try to find a way to detach what I went through so she can see who I really am?
Yeah, I think like compassion wise. So to give you like kind of a backstory, kind of, it kind of ties in with that, is when I got back, they put us on, well, I guess what most people would call R&R. And so I went to visit my mom. And I just remember, I don't know why this stuck with me because I don't remember a lot of stuff. I was sitting just watching TV. I wasn't even saying anything. And she looked at me and she's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I don't think she said fuck, but she was like, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you?" And I looked at her. I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You're different." And I didn't feel any different.
This was your mother that said that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, what the hell? And so fast forward, because I was married once before, to somebody who was actually in the military. So after my deployment, it wasn't exactly difficult to relate, so to speak. And so I guess maybe that was kind of a good transition, but I was still able to retain, I guess, who I was, like compassion wise, understanding wise, maturity wise, because a lot of people, they regress instead of progress. Um, but I think being able to not necessarily master my emotions, so to speak,
I'm
but
sorry, say that
like
again. Not necessarily
putting,
what?
like mastering my emotions, so to speak. But just being able to, I guess I'm really good at like putting a mental block with things to where I can just keep the good up front, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. And so I was able to, in my mind, transition pretty well to, you know, allow somebody to see who I still was. But it probably, like looking back on it, they'd probably be like, "Nah, yeah, not the same dude."
Well, that's attributed to how people that are in civil service or high stress jobs. Look, we develop coping mechanisms, right?
Hmm.
And those coping mechanisms we think work for us because that's what we had to do to survive at the time.
Right. Right.
And no matter what the stress is, your stress was, combat. My stress is fire and car wrecks and stuff. So we develop a we protect ourselves with how we start thinking about those things and what we think about ourselves when we think about those things. So we develop an idea that when stress starts to happen, we revert back to how we dealt with it when we were under the stress that's completely different.
Right.
Right. It's completely different. Like
Yeah.
our wife can be pissed off about the laundry not being done. And we're like, it's fucking laundry. Like
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
the fuck cares? But that's because we're forgetting that that stress is a real stress to somebody else.
Right.
And the stress we went through, we put a scale on it and it means more. So you bring us this bullshit. You're worried about the laundry. Well, I'm going to just say, well, we'll just take fucking care of it from this. No big deal. But
Hmm.
in reality, the brain doesn't know any difference between the stress. It reacts the same to the stress. There's levels of stress, yes, but your brain fires the exact same way to stress, period. End of story.
Right. Yep.
And we forget to be empathetic to the other stresses that other people have that haven't been exposed to the same type of stress we have. Our
Right.
empathy is distorted, so to speak.
Yeah.
Did you notice
Yeah.
that happening
Absolutely.
when you were trying to kind
Um.
of reintegrate?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the biggest thing, because I've always been the type of person that wants to hit things head on, um, regardless if it's the tiniest conversation or the largest conversation. I'm the type of person that doesn't want to go to bed upset or with something on my mind, because that was something that helped me. And so just leaving that line of communication and allowing the other person to understand that communicating is huge, and it's ultimately going to make the situation better. Was able to um, kind of understand exactly what you explained, because to me, I'm like, what? We don't need to make a plan to do this and this. But for them, that plan, if they don't have it, it's stressful. So understanding, like you said, and being empathetic in the same sense was, I think, difficult at first. Yeah.
When did you find out really that you needed to work on that? can you remember a time where you were just like, well, you know what, shit, this isn't working because I'm either pissing a lot of people off or people are not understanding where I'm coming from. I need to evaluate myself here because it is me now that's causing this issue.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to when I was a kid, I had a lot of anger issues, not like fighting and all that stuff, but I just had this like aggressive nature to me, and I would get super frazzled and I would lose myself in those emotions. And so when I, grew up a little bit and I was able to, like I said earlier, master that to an extent and be able to, you know, regain my composure and keep my composure. Um, but then when I started to lose that again, I was like, oh shit, it's me. And so I could feel myself losing control of those emotions pretty quickly. I didn't realize it right away, but I was able to identify it quickly enough to be able to kind of put myself in check and actually start understanding. And instead of, lashing out, I started writing things down instead. Whether it
Did you
was,
did you seek help?
uh, yes and no. So like the VA, they do like a therapy session, and I had a really shitty experience with that, because when I got out, so I waited about a year to do my VA claim. I was like, fuck this, I don't need this, this is stupid, my body's fine. um, and at the time everybody's like, no, do it, like you serve the country, this, you walk funny, or I can't even remember what people would, no, your shoulder hurts, your elbow hurts, that's not normal. And so uh, they automatically put you through an assessment. And so I ended up, I think I had a guy at first, and I went to see him the first time, and we had like an hour and a half long session. He kept changing positions, moving, whatever. And I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm not doing this because I keep opening up and having to start over again. So I had to learn at that point how to kind of self cope, um, to an extent, I guess.
So because of the bad experience, you decided that you're going to figure this shit out on your own.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
What steps did you take to kind of figure it out? And you went because you noticed that your anger issues were starting to come out again. And
Mm-hmm.
did you know why? Could you attribute it to anything, or was it like, I don't know what's going on, I should go find help and figure this out? Like, what was that
Yeah.
process?
Like before saying fuck it,
Yeah.
or like
Before
afterwards? Um,
before saying fuck it, look,
yeah.
you 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 explained that you started noticing that you were losing control of your emotions again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you did when you were younger.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason may be that you were doing it when you were younger, I mean, you're young. Your brain's still developing, so you had to fight against that. But you
Yeah.
came back from this high stress job and you thought you had a pretty good handle on it. All of a sudden you start slipping again back into those previous detrimental thoughts and actions.
Mm-hmm.
Did you start attributing that to your experience, or did you not know exactly why? And then when you did figure that out, was it then you went to the VA, or was it like, you know what, fuck it, I need to figure it out myself?
Um, I don't think at the time I knew what was triggering it. Like I wasn't lashing out. I wasn't, how you see movies, people like freak out and punch holes in walls and stuff like that. But it was more like an emotional thing, to
Mhm.
where I could feel I was just getting agitated and agitated. I'm like, why is this little thing bothering me? Why is this? And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what, this isn't right. Um, because initially when I did my separations, they were like, yeah, you should probably go to talk to somebody to separate out and so on and so forth. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm a man. Who needs that shit? But
Oh,
then
you were giving into the stigma is what you were doing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I didn't realize that's actually what I was doing, because inside I was like, I'm fine. Like there's nothing wrong with me. You know what I mean? As a lot of other people, they have like this hardened shell and they're like, oh, I'm walking my chest out. There's nothing fucking wrong with me. But then when I started realizing that I was getting, emotionally detached from who I actually was, um, which was about a year after I separated from the Marine Corps, is when I was like, all right, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's causing it. Because it was the dumbest stuff. Like these big, large issues, everybody's got issues. They wouldn't phase me and be like, oh, let's just do this, 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 and this. It was the small things that were getting to me. And I was like, this isn't right. And so that's when I ended up going and signing up for
The VA.
therapy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's funny you say that because they've actually done a study on that, because your story is actually, believe it or not, not all that unique. I know it feels unique because you've
Yeah.
never experienced it before, but it's actually not all that unique. It's because your mind and what you were exposed to only dealt with high stress level shit,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And when something big stressfully happened at home, you're more comfortable because it was on par with the high stress level shit.
Right.
But when it was just this low level shit, it's your brain was just like, this isn't enough stress for me to process.
Hmm.
And then so you start creating more stress to make it. That's you like being upset with it and being way more emotional. Your mind's trying to make you more stressed about the
Hmm.
small things so you can deal with it. It's trying to turn it into a bigger issue because that's the only way your brain knows how to
Right.
process it, is to make the small thing a bigger issue. Because once it's a bigger issue, then okay, now this is the kind of stress that I know how to deal with. It's the stress that might cause a whole
Hmm.
lot of issue. That's what my brain knows how to deal with. And so what happens is your brain literally creates more stress on itself just so it can deal with the small stress.
Right. Yep.
It's crazy that the brain does that to you,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And it's crazy to look at it like now in that, like in that mindset to actually understand exactly what you're saying. You know what I mean? Because it makes sense like wholeheartedly. And you look at it and you're like, oh, all right.
yeah, and you wonder why. And that's the hard thing, right? Is you wonder why about it's a small issue. It's such a small issue. Why am I treating this small issue as such a big deal? Well, it's because
Hmm.
your brain's trying to get you to the point of that stress level you know how to deal with.
Right.
It's a small issue, yes, but your brain's like, I don't know how to deal with small issues. Let's turn this small issue into a big one. We'll take care of it then.
Yep.
And that becomes detrimental. That becomes self sabotaging, especially in relationships. So you get out during that time where you're figuring this out about yourself. You met your wife now, or was that still with your ex wife?
Still with the ex-wife. I met Rose in 2015.
And how much
So
longer after you got out in?
we 13. We didn't actually even start. We had been really good friends for a couple years, and we actually didn't start even talking or dating or any of that until like 2017.
Okay.
So
Was she with you during this process of you trying to regain normalcy?
yeah, yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, because even though I can sit here and say that I'm normal now, she still probably deals with shit. Like not probably, she does that isn't normal of somebody, but I think um, she's got a really good understanding because of things that she's gone through in her life too, on how to communicate and get the thought process across to be on the same level, so to speak, to
It's
be
good to hear you.
encouraging instead.
It's good to hear you say that because I've actually had a conversation with another veteran who was actually kind of pissed off, and rightfully so, that there was a woman who said she had PTSD from something that happened to her when she was younger, and
Hmm.
some veterans came down on her like, you can't have PTSD. I mean, you didn't see
Yes.
combat, you didn't see this, you didn't do what we did, so therefore your PTSD isn't really PTSD. It's like, whoa, 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 hold on there, big boy. Like, PTSD is
Mm-hmm.
not linear. It is not
Yeah.
special to one set group of people or the other.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. And I think that's a society thing where they're like, oh, a lot of veterans think that that's their mentality, and they don't understand that people can have trauma in their lives. And PTSD isn't veteran post traumatic stress disorder. It's literally just something that they're dealing with, that other people have other traumas that they've gone through that are more or less feeling the same way that we do.
I have a theory as to why, and I want to get your perspective on it. My theory is like, look, and rightfully so, PTSD with the veteran community has become a very hot topic, very popular
Mm-hmm.
topic to be talking about, as it should be, as it should be. But I think it kind of was almost pushed so hard and put out there so hard that it was beneficial for the veteran, but detrimental to the civilian in that it almost put the idea out that if you're not a veteran or you didn't experience certain experiences, PTSD wasn't really what PTSD is. It
Right.
got tied. I mean, it literally like a fucking knot around veterans that is you can't take off. That when anybody else other than a veteran claimed to have PTSD, it wasn't looked at as a severity, or the severity
Right.
wasn't as high. I think it did a disservice. It did a service for veterans in that, yes, it does need to be talked about. Yes, it is very important to talk about. But at the same time, it almost did a little bit of a disservice in that anybody else, sorry, your
Right.
PTSD isn't as important. And no, my PTSD is just the same. It's just on a different situation. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that brings another issue too, is that it's almost like it's so easy to be diagnosed in the military with post traumatic stress disorder because somebody's not able to tell you, nah, that doesn't fucking qualify. Um, like you have people for the dumbest reasons, and it's almost like a status thing in the veteran community to an extent, and it does a disservice to the veterans that actually have it as well. Not saying that the people who claim they have it don't actually have it, um, but it's almost like I'm going to put it in comparison with like kids these days and their pills they're taking that you hear all over music and stuff like that. They're all these kids are like, oh, I got to take these pills because I'm depressed, because it's a fad almost. And so it became like the popular thing, like you said. And so it created such a tight knit group in the veteran community. That's why people were like, no, you don't have PTSD. No, fuck your child abuse or whatever happened to you, or this, that, or the other when you were younger, your trauma, whatever that was. You didn't serve. You don't have PTSD. Um, and you can even look at it too, where women who are going through postpartum, they have postpartum depression, which could create long-term PTSD. And there's still veterans that'll look and be like, bitch, you had a baby. Like they're not sensitive to the fact that other people just have different trauma. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense.
It's crazy how empathy can be totally disregarded when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yep.
somebody else's own hurt. We forget that just because we're hurting, we feel like our hurt's the only hurt. And we
Mm-hmm.
forget that other people, human beings, can experience hurt as well. Our
Right.
empathy shuts off when we feel like we're the only ones hurting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's detrimental because it can actually stop really good um, relationships from developing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a really personal question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Again, this goes in line with what I'm trying to kill, and that's the stigma, right?
Mm-hmm.
About
Yeah.
not being ashamed about talking about it.
Sure.
Did you ever, or have you ever had suicidal ideations and or attempts?
I've never attempted anything, but absolutely thoughts. Uh, Shit. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I didn't have them today. You know what I mean? And it's not something, and I can't remember what they call it, but it's almost like when you're standing on a bridge and your brain tells you to jump, even though you're not going to jump. There's like an actual, I can't remember what it is, but your brain thinks about what it would be like, so to speak. uh, to jump. But I kind of tie that back to the phone call that we had, before this, is you look at the people who were strong that you served with or that were under you, that actually went through with it. And you look at them and you're like, damn, you were successful. You did this, 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 and this, and you didn't think you were good enough. And it almost creates like this opportunity, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. And thank you for sharing and being honest with that.
Yeah.
Ideations are ideas, right? Attempts
Mm-hmm.
are attempts. They're two different things. You said you had ideations. You thought about it. It's okay. A lot of people do think about what it would be like just to be gone. It's pushing through and going past those things that we're trying to stop ourselves from, right? We feel
Mm-hmm.
sad. We want sadness to end. And sometimes our brain, no matter how hard we try, thinks about killing ourselves as a means of ending that pain.
Right.
And I appreciate you bringing up the fact again that when we have people close to us that commit suicide, right? It almost, when you have those ideations and you have those thoughts, it almost gives it validation that
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts, one, they're valid now. And two, acting out of them is a real possibility here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the science shows that when you're close to somebody and you have those kind of ideations, depression, and you see somebody that you're close to, that you looked up to, and they do it, it almost gives it validation for you to do it. It's almost like the green light, right?
Right. Yep.
Science shows that a parent that commits suicide, their child is 50% more likely to commit suicide when they get older. It's the
Yep.
same type of thing when you're talking about veterans and superiors. When you're in the service and you see these superiors or your brothers that you served with commit suicide, and you've been having these ideas, you're like, well, fucker, if you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
why can't I? And it almost gives
Yep.
it validation. And then sometimes it's the validation that pushes them over the edge.
Right. Yeah. And I think that was something for me, um, being able to, one, admit that you actually have those thoughts, but then two, instead of, feeding into them and allowing them to snowball effect, so to speak, and get larger and larger, is to kind of identify the reasons why, but then use it as a crutch to keep going instead of giving up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly
And
what you
then
mean. Yeah.
you then, I guess, start thinking about, okay, well, this is shitty, this is shitty, this is shitty. What's actually good in my life? What's allowing me to continue to push forward? What are those things? Who are those people, that allow me to push forward?
Yeah. And that makes total sense. That it's good to hear that you still had the wherewithal to do that for yourself, right?
Hmm.
It's hard sometimes when you're in that depressive state of mind to have the cognitive ability to separate and be able to
Right.
realize that, oh shit, I'm having these thoughts, but I know these thoughts aren't me. I know they're just
Right.
thoughts, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes, like with me, my depression was so bad that even though it was a thought, I forgot it was just a thought. It's not even forget. My mind believed it was more than just a thought.
Right.
And depression does that to you. What did you do other than seeking help at the VA? You said you had a shitty experience and then you started kind of doing your own thing to kind of get you on your right path
Hmm.
to
Yep.
stop. Can I ask you, what was that process like after the shitty experience? Like, what did you do?
Well, I had always been into physical fitness. Not as much as I am now, but I knew that I needed an outlet.
You could have
Um,
fooled me, fucking JP. Jesus Christ. Half your videos with your shirt off. I'm not into physical therapy. I eat whatever the fuck I want. If you're able to eat whatever the
yeah,
fuck you want and you're not into physical fitness, how the fuck, bro?
yeah,
I was
yeah,
between you. I had Pops, POPZ. I don't know if you know who he
yeah,
is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had him on the show. Between you and him, I'm seriously half contemplating just putting a black circle around your face as this airs on YouTube because I can't have fucking better looking dudes on the show than me. Like, what the fuck? You not as much as I am now. I eat whatever the fuck I want.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
Anyway,
Man,
so
I love
physical
and
fitness
it.
was definitely
Yeah.
a therapy for you. Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
whatever, asshole.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I cut all my sweets out. I'm now eating healthier now too, not by choice. But I also so I gotta stop eating Twinkies afterwards because I'm like, my metabolism's slowing down. But yeah, so I did physical fitness, just allowing myself to see my body change physically was enough. Not enough, but it aided in allowing my mind to change too. That along with writing. So I used to write poetry when I was younger, and I probably sucked at it. I don't even think I have any poems or anything, but I ended up getting back into that.
I'm going to stop
writing.
you. You literally just downplayed yourself. You know what you literally just displayed? You literally just displayed depression. You literally just displayed depression. You're not allowing yourself to be what helped you be what it was. You had to downplay it. You had not that good in my poetry, whatever.
When I was a kid.
It doesn't matter. It helped you.
Yeah.
Right? So don't downplay that.
That's true. That is true.
Fuck what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm challenging you on this, man. I'm sorry. I'm calling you out on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you put it like that, it does make sense. Yeah. Because I'm going back to it because, man, my parents, they divorced when I was younger too. And that's actually when I started doing it. Yep.
That was your coping. That was your therapy. That was your way of understanding.
Right. Yep.
It was a way for you to understand what was going on inside of you. Don't downplay that shit, man. Like, let me rephrase. If you truly think that your poetry sucked ass, by all means, say your poetry sucked ass. If that's what you truly believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it didn't and it helped you, allow it to be that.
Yeah. Oh, it's good now, though. It's good. I've got it on lock now. Give me a gold star in the corner now.
There you go. Yeah, I'll give you a gold star. Yeah. I'm gonna mail you a gold sticker. You can put it right on the fridge.
Yep, that's where it needs to go. I need to see it every day.
Damn. All right. So you started your physical activity. You started seeing a change in your body, which helped you realize that you can start seeing a change in your mindset. And then you started writing. Writing is a very common theme. Right. Not only for people that go through depression for a therapy, but therapists even advocate for you to write, right? Yep. Write down in a journal, write what you feel, because then it allows you to see it. You're expelling the shit in your head and what you're feeling. You're putting it out into the world. Excuse me. You're putting it out into the world, which allows you to evaluate it, which allows you to sit with it, which allows you to process.
Right. Yep. And I think that was, man, it just started with, a couple words, and then a couple words would turn into, this long thing, which then eventually in the more recent years, more so probably 2019, 2020, evolved into music and songs. Now I'm not musically inclined. Like, I don't know how to play instruments. I'll dabble on that, but what I do is I'll write songs with the words that I'm feeling, because typically music is sad anyways for the most part, and I'll give them to people who can sing, and allowing them to put music to it and stuff like that, to hear the creation of it and basically life into what I was
Say that again.
writing.
To hear what?
Was something that was pretty cool to be able to help.
Say that again.
Like,
I'm sorry.
Be put into.
No, start. I'm sorry. You broke up, so I need you to say that sentence again. To hear. Start from there.
Yeah, to hear the music. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, start from there. I'm gonna have to edit out because you broke up real bad. Sorry.
Yeah, to be able to hear the song come to life and somebody put their own spin on it, but then to hear like the emotion from, their voice or whatever the case may be put into that song, and allow it to bloom into what that vision was and those thoughts, so to speak.
So you're a songwriter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit. We heard anything?
I've worked with some small low key stuff, but as far as like on the radio, no. Not
How
yet
about
anyways. That's to come, hopefully.
How about YouTube?
There's probably some songs on YouTube.
Thank you for that information. I will probably be opening our episode with one of the songs you wrote, because I'm gonna have to go find one now. Unless you want to make it easy on me and just point me in the direction.
Yeah, I can put it in your send you a message with it or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. If you're okay with me using it for the podcast, because I'm going to have to not only get your consent, I'm going to have to get the artist's consent as well to use it on the podcast. Like if I can just get them to send me a video message saying, yes, you can use this song.
Sure.
I would love to use it as an opening. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Dude, your music will be broadcast worldwide.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
I think so. Shit. Anyway, so you found that writing and music is helping you be more level, right? It's helping you bring you back. I want to get into, let me backtrack. I'm having a squirrel moment here. I want to say thank you for giving me your point of view and giving the audience your point of view and what you went through and how you handled it. We are pushing through this pretty quickly, but everything you're saying is good information for people to hear. I've heard so many different avenues of what people used to better themselves, to get out of that state of mind. Therapy didn't work for you, but you found something that did, and it worked healthy for you. That's the key word, healthy. It was a healthy outlet for you to get back level, for you to realize that, okay, now I can be who I want to be now. And I want to say thank you for sharing that, because not a lot of people would share that they write poetry, especially fucking grown-ass men. Come on. Grown-ass man, you're a fucking Marine, and now you're writing poetry and songs. Who the fuck are you, dude? Seriously, come on.
It's funny. I thought it'd be super cool to go on a couple TV shows, and so I applied for them. And I actually got kind of far in the process for one of them. And they wanted me to basically create this persona of who I was. And they wanted me to introduce myself, because once they found out that I did poetry, they were like, oh, you gotta be, blah, blah. I can't remember what they said, but they had the word, you know how like wrestlers, so to speak, they've got, Robbie the King Lawler or whatever the case may be. They wanted me to be like JP the poet or something like that. And I was like, that's fucking stupid. I ain't doing
JP
that shit.
the Marine poet.
It was something ridiculous. I mean, it was so stupid. I was like, I'm not doing that. But they wanted me to be like this arrogant asshole who had like this soft side. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not changing who I am to be on your TV show to boost your ratings. I'm not doing it. And it had nothing to do with like,
no disrespect, bro, but you could probably pull off that character.
Yeah.
Be very, very sure of yourself, but very loving at the same time. Arrogant asshole, but loving.
Yeah. Well, see, and it's funny. So Rose always tells me, she's like, you have such a resting dick face. You know how women have resting bitch faces?
Resting bitch face, resting dick face. Yeah, you have RDF for sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. She's like, you always look like an asshole. Because I'm always like, why are people staring at me? Do I have something like growing out of my forehead? And she's like, no, you just look like a dickhead. I'm like, oh, all right.
Well, dude, growing up, I was in theater. I did a lot of theater and acting. Always cast as the villain. Always. Always the asshole. I don't know if it's my eyes. I don't know if it's my face. I don't know if it's because I have a small upper lip. Fuck if I know. But apparently I was just a good asshole.
Yep.
I'm not an asshole. That's the thing. I don't understand. I can play an
Yeah.
asshole, but I'm not.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the same thing too. Like, well, you can't see him now, but being covered in tattoos, people are like, "Oh, that guy's probably a prick. He's such a dick." And then I'll talk, and we're like, "You're really nice." Perfect example, because we live in kind of the Bible Belt of our city, and it stretches. We're in Nashville, and so it stretches from like northern Nashville to just south of Nashville. And when I first moved here, I went to one of the gyms that was in one of the cities, that predominantly was part of that Bible Belt. And there wasn't very many people with tattoos, and they would just look at me in disgust. And then I started making friends with people, and they're like, "Oh wow, he's not a dick. He's actually really kind." And so I had to break past that stigma as well.
Oh
You still
yeah,
see it every now and then, but
yeah. I mean, there's stigmas of looking like a fuckboy. Look,
right.
and that term fuckboy, I don't even know where it came from. My 14-year-old daughter actually had to explain the definition to me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
There's some of the terms they come out with nowadays.
yeah,
I
the
don't even know
terms
what they
I don't
mean.
understand. People like to profile, right?
Hmm.
And profiling's wrong, as Ron White would say. And but sometimes the profile is right. I think too many
Yeah.
people rely on the sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just because of what society lives or what they look at. It's almost a paradigm, if you will, of what is socially acceptable and what we're used to in the sense, um, with so many different patterns and way of life and stuff like that. I think that's what people just get stuck in as a paradigm of reality.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you 100%. I don't think I think people need to be more open minded. Period. End
Yeah.
of
Oh, yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yep.
And oh, look, open mindedness. Open mindedness
Hmm.
seems to remind me of a certain thought processes that another type of people have, but don't practice.
Yep.
We won't get into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
um, I want to get into a little bit of your content. Your JP
Yeah.
Writes, that's your tag, JP Writes. It's a very simple
Yep.
tag. You can find you on TikTok. When, where, and why the fuck? One, how old are you?
31 now.
Okay, you're 31 now. You're a 30
Yep.
something year old guy on fucking TikTok. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
What got you on TikTok? Why is somebody knocking at your door?
I don't know. I can't hear anything. I got these noise canceling.
Oh, I heard dun, 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 dun. It wasn't me. Anyway, what possessed you to start this social media footprint here that you got now?
Man, it started out, I didn't even have any like content ideas. Like I didn't have any videos or anything, and I just watched videos. I found it amusing, because I would watch YouTube, and I was super big into like car, YouTube channels and stuff like that. And then I can't even remember when somebody brought it to my attention, and it was almost like Vine, and I didn't even really get into Vine or anything like that. And so I had the account. I hadn't really posted anything. I posted, I think, a video of my dog. There was like a challenge or something that somebody showed me with you give the dog an egg. And then one of my buddies who's an army veteran, he was like, "Dude," he's like, "you should do this trend with me. You have TikTok, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting into. And the video actually did, fairly well for, I think it was ended up being like my third video, and it was like 50,000 views or something. And I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool." And so I stayed away. I didn't really want to do, political stuff. I didn't want to do really anything that um, had like a political affiliation or anything like that. That I just wanted to make people laugh and more or less feel good. So I strayed away from that for a while. And then I found my content was like everywhere. It was in complete different areas. There was some that was comedy, there was some that was serious, there was some that was political, and then I just kind of found that being myself and being real about what I was posting was the biggest thing, and more so kind of going back to what we talked about earlier where some people will leave like the most ridiculous comments in the world. But if you can reply and show them, one, that it doesn't affect you and it's not going to change your mindset just because they don't agree with you, but then it also allows other people to see, hey, this dude's sticking up, for himself. Why can't I stick up for myself? Or why should I conform to that other person's opinion and stuff like that? And so lately, political videos are doing well in the sense of all the madness that's going on. So it's a good target audience, but a lot of people just appreciate it in the sense because, I mean, man, I posted a video that was, it asked a question about Biden supporters and Trump supporters. And it wasn't even like saying anything.
It wasn't showing any
supporter.
support one or the other.
Right. It was literally, I asked a question and I said, I have a question for my Biden supporters. How come you don't post anything in support of Biden, just stuff in hate of Trump or something along the lines of that? And the amount of responses and just the shitty comments and responses and stuff like that, that people got, I probably got, and I'm not even exaggerating, 150, maybe 200 stitches on that video, of people just like basically proving my point to an extent. It wasn't like in support of anything. They were just bashing myself, like name calling and stuff, or bashing the other candidate. I forgot where I was going with all of this stuff, but it showed me the sheep mentality in the sense of, not in the sense of what they call me being a sheep following the president or whatever like that, because I've also made videos. It doesn't matter who the president is. When Biden becomes president in 2020, is he going to fuck up? Probably. Is he going to do some good things? Absolutely. But, and I said in another video, if you want your president to fail, it's like wanting the pilot of your airplane to crash the plane while you're still on it.
I saw that.
Sense.
I saw that video. You're like, I remember exactly what you said. You said when Obama was the president, I supported him. He was my president. When Trump's when he was president, he's my president, period. End of story. Why? Because one, I live in America. Two, I'm a fucking Marine and that's my job, is to support the president. To want the leader of your country to fail, to want somebody that's supposed to represent you to fail, is saying, literally, show them that we all can fail.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. You need to support them. Can you not agree with policies? Absolutely. You're in this country. You can disagree with policies all you want. That's why we vote, right? To get people that agree with the policies you want. There's a big stink within the IAFF now, but the International Association of Firefighters, and how they went about supporting the candidate that they did. And but people don't understand is we're supporting them for one specific cause. We're supporting them because he supports firefighter issues, and that's the sole reason. People forget that, though. They think that because we're supporting, because the IFS supports them. Full disclosure, I consider myself more of a libertarian with more of a conservative pushing. In that, when it comes to social issues, I'm pretty libertarian on that. Like, I don't give a fuck who you love. I don't give a fuck what you do. Identify what you do for you. If it doesn't affect my life, I don't give a shit. Be you. Be happy. I want you to be a happy person. I want you to just be a good person. Be happy. I want you to survive and thrive and be something beneficial to the world. I don't care anything else of what you identify as or who you are. I don't give a shit. I want you to be happy, and I want you to make this world a better place. That's it.
Yeah. And see, it's the same for me, because a lot of people just automatically assume, hey, you're a Republican, or you're this or that. No, actually not. No. And I would say that I fit under that same category too, because I have friends from all different walks of life. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to judge you for what you do in your own time. What you do in your own time, that's on you. But if you treat me as I want to be treated, I can treat you as you want to be treated. It's a give and take with a respect thing. If somebody, is an asshole, I'm probably going to be an asshole back to you. But if you're kind to me, you're going to get that same energy from me. It doesn't matter, what color of your skin, what your gender is, what sexuality is. It doesn't matter to me. And I think that's where people lose it, and then they basically fall
They
victim to their own concept. They group you with something, but they don't want to be grouped with something else, if that makes any sense.
no,
And
no,
so
they.
there's
I think the problem is they generalize and then they run with the
right,
generalization, right?
right. Yep.
They don't allow the generalization to just be a generalization. They don't understand that circumstance and individuality comes into play, right?
Yeah. And that's part of the problem too. I think people are afraid to be an individual. They'd rather be a follower instead of a leader. And I think that's the main thing, kind of going back to the content thing, is my point is you don't have to agree with do I think Donald Trump has all the fucking answers?
Oh
Hell
no,
no. Do I
dude,
think
come on, man.
like,
Let's be honest.
yeah,
Donald Trump is my president. Sure, Obama was my president. Obama
yeah.
knew how to speak way better than Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah,
Obama
absolutely.
knew how to give a fucking message. I
Mhm.
mean, did I agree with all his policies? No, but he was good at what he did.
Right,
Donald Trump,
right.
I agree with some of his policies. Does he go about them the way I think he should? No, fuck no. The dude's a fucking retard
Yeah,
sometimes. Like,
yeah,
I'm a,
yeah. Do I think the president should have a Twitter? Probably not.
no. I
But
mean, like, no. I mean, dude, shut the fuck up. Just do your fucking job. Like, I
yeah,
get what he's trying to do. He's trying to do the whole Ronald Reagan thing, going on TV and all that other shit, right?
right,
He's
right.
trying to do that stuff. I get it. You're trying to take advantage of a new media outlet and stuff like that. But
Right.
come on, man. I mean, stick to your policies. That's what you were voted in for. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's
Well, see, and I think that's part of the problem too. And do I think he has some shitty policies? Absolutely, every president does. But he has a lot of really good policies too, that are kind of undershadowed because it doesn't fit, of course, the media's agenda and stuff like that. And I think that's where a lot of people who are not necessarily with Biden or against Trump kind of gains traction, because they can just take something and run with it, because people are so easily manipulated into believing something that they'd rather not fact check it. They'd rather not do any of their own research. They're just like, yeah, the sky's fucking purple because Johnny Jimbo said it. You know what I mean? There's no individuality anymore. And I feel like that kind of goes back to the whole depression thing. Is you have a lot of kids nowadays that are in high school or even adults that try to find that individuality, and it doesn't fit the agenda of others. And so they're like, well, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why don't I fit in that group? And so on and so forth. And so I think there's a lot of just issues undermined, election aside, president aside, that people just kind of, I don't know, they do away with to fit their own agenda, more or less.
and I agree with you. And it really sucks because it's so dividing when I really think the majority of people are really they land in the middle, whether they want to admit it to
Yeah.
themselves or not.
Yes.
Majority of people land in the middle where
Yeah.
there's certain things that you're okay with and other things you're not. And
Yeah.
that's the majority of people. I really believe that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I
And
think the biggest thing for me is ideas. I love ideas. I like ideas and reasons why something should work and something shouldn't work. Now, of course, I like debates too, in that same aspect, because every idea, like we spoke about earlier, every idea comes with different opinions. But being able to actually sit and have a conversation about why somebody thinks the sky is purple and hear them out, instead of being like, no, you're a fucking idiot for thinking the sky's purple. But then, have that conversation to where you two can come to an understanding. Hey, we may not see eye to eye, but here, this is why I think this, and this is why I think this. So you understand each other. And there's a lot of that doesn't happen.
well, no, because conversation's no longer conversation. Comes
Right.
what conversation is nowadays is I'm right, you're wrong, and they're ready for the reply immediately.
Yeah.
Like they already
Yeah.
know what they want to say before even listening. Remember, conversation's not just talking. One of the most important part of conversation, listening.
Absolutely. Yep.
Listening.
And Yeah. And you have those. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people are just dicks and they'll try to take any kind of low blow at you shit. And it kind of, I hate bringing back, social media with it, but I recently had this girl that I did a video reply to. And instead of responding to Rose, so Rose had gone on and made a comment to redirect the girl's attention because the things that she was saying was very derogatory towards me. Now, if I did the same thing to a woman, then I'm body shaming. I'm doing this, that, and the other. And so Rose tried to diffuse the situation by saying, here I am, bitch. Talk to me because I'm your equal. And the woman wasn't ready for it. She would not talk to her. She just kept coming at me because she knew she could continue to spew whatever she wanted to without actually looking at kind of what was going on and ignoring that somebody was her equal. And she more or less was doing the opposite of what she was trying to explain. There were personal digs and stuff like that. And so instead of coming to me, she even went on Instagram and like commented on pictures that I have of Rose on there and was like, oh, this is your lady, blah, 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 blah. But she wouldn't direct it towards Rose because Rose was her equal. And people are afraid of that kind of confrontation because had I reacted in the manner that she thought I was going to, it just gives her more ammunition at that point.
Yeah. And again, it comes to the art of communication, and it is an art.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like we have to be able to evaluate, listen, understand, but then that has to be reciprocated.
Right.
Just because you're the one that gave the message doesn't mean a rebuttal isn't going to happen. You have to be able to accept the rebuttal. If you're not able to accept the rebuttal or the different point of view, then your conversation is null and void because you're not allowing yourself to be challenged.
Right. Right. And I think that's what people are afraid of is like you said, to be challenged. Nobody wants to be shut down. They want to be king of the hill or queen of the hill.
Right. But where do you want to take your content from here? What do you want to do with it?
Honestly, I haven't even thought about it. And it's crazy because people have, kind of approached me about doing merch and shirts, little gadgets and stuff like that. And it's kind of new to me in the sense of like, first off, I'm getting to understand because I do get some really awesome messages too from a lot of people that are thanking me for keeping it real and just being genuine, and a lot of times they'll send somebody a message and they won't even respond, but having somebody respond in kindness, or even today I had somebody ask me, hey, I'm looking to join the military, do you have any pointers? So being able to take the time out for that. Do I think, but well, depends on if I get banned from TikTok for posting certain things. So I've got to find a way to keep my content
neutral.
Yes, neutral, engaging, but in the same sense, finding not necessarily a purpose, because I do think there is a purpose, and I think it is just being real and stuff like that, but kind of figuring out now, like, hey, I've got 100 and I don't even know, followers. What can I do to help them? What are some things that I can turn that into to be a benefit to them, more or less?
Well, then I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you and stop calling them followers. These people decided what you had to share is worth their time, JP. Time that they're never going to get back. Time they're never going to get back. Even if it's 15 to 30 seconds at a fucking time, it's time they will never get back. They're giving it to you and what you have to say.
Yep.
Their family, their friends. That's who they are. I mean, literally.
Absolutely. And it sucks too. So I had a hashtag. I think I'm actually wearing the t-shirt. It was hashtag lowriders. And so it started out, doing lives, and it was just like the same 15, 16 people that would come in, and it was literally like we were a little family. And one of the women, they created the slogan because somebody was like, you need like a group name. And, because JP writes, it became, instead of low riders, it was low writers. And so it kind of stuck, but I had to recently stop using the hashtag because TikTok was like, no, fuck you and your hashtag. We're going to start removing your videos. See, and that's a problem too. Like I had a video that was so neutral, and I labeled it, it was video of 2020. and I don't want to take credit for it, because it was actually, I was approached by another really large creator, and they just explained to me, hey, I have this idea. I can't post it because of my job. Is this something you'd be interested in doing? And I did it. And TikTok was like, nope, fuck you. And they took it down. Partially because they censored Topher music. It used The Patriot, that song. And so I think that has something to do with it. But um, it literally depicted the year of 2020 between vaccinations, the riots, looting, you name it. And I sent an appeal to it, and they still haven't even responded. So all that to say, I have to find a way to keep the content going, but being reserved to an extent, to, like I said, so it doesn't get, taken down. But so, friends and family and stuff like that can actually enjoy it still.
And that's the shitty thing, right? Because we want to complain about it. We want to be really upset about it, but it's fucking free. Just
exactly.
like Facebook, right? And
yeah, yep.
we want to say it's censorship, and it is. However, they're not breaking any laws, really. They are the ones that own it. And as much as it sucks, and as much as we bitch about it, we want to say, well, you're taking away our First Amendment. No, they're not. They're just not allowing your First Amendment right on their platform. That's all that is.
Right. Yep.
It's their platform. They can do whatever the fuck they want with it.
Exactly.
So, but
and so figuring out how to curtail.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man, I know we're running up on the time limit.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start winding this down. I want to say thank you first for being open and honest with your past experience and sharing with us how you went through it and how you got through it. I think a lot of veterans are going to learn from this, and hearing your story and you being open and you not being afraid to share it. And I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity. I think a big thing too, just to kind of caveat off of that, is if there was a message that I can kind of curtail to that, not everybody's going to find the same way. Not every veteran will find, hey, writing and physical fitness. If I had a message, it would be to find something that brings you peace, and then figure out how you can apply that to your life on a regular basis, more or less.
And I like that you said peace, because I think a lot of the times when we're down and out, we're depressed, we're constantly looking for happiness. And I don't think happiness should be the goal. I think peace, equal, medium, just being okay. That should be the goal, right? Find the point where you're just okay, where you're at peace. That should be the goal.
Yep. Absolutely.
And the fact that you're using that kind of language actually is very, very beneficial, because I think it gets missed. It gets lost because we're like, why can't I just be happy? Why can't I just be happy? Well, I think the question you should be asking is, why can't I just be at peace? Why can't I just be okay?
Right. Yep.
I usually close out the show with 3 questions. Fairly simple. The first one's a 2-part question. We're on What Makes Us Fire podcast, but let's pretend we're on JP Wright's podcast, right? And we're calling it the Low Writers podcast. Why not? And JP Wright's the host, but he's interviewing JP Wright. What's the one question you would have asked yourself, and or piece of information you would have liked to share that maybe we didn't get to touch on?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think, man, I had all these questions just bam, hit me right in the face. I think the one that kind of grabs at me the most is how, well, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's not more or less, I guess, a question, but, well, no, yeah, maybe. I don't fucking know. How do you feel as though, you have to create a persona of yourself, or is it acceptable to be yourself and have people like you for you? The reason I ask that or say that is because I think people feel like they need to be fake on social media, or just portray somebody that they're not. It's very similar to like celebrities in the sense of, hey, you've got all this money, your life's fucking great, but inside they're dead. You know what I mean?
So how would you answer that for yourself?
True. I don't know. I think, and it's the same thing with like relationships, friendships, shit, marriages. I'm not the marriage guru, but I think if you're just yourself, you're going to attract the people that you are intended to attract. Are there going to be people that are going to try to intrude? Absolutely. But if you keep it real and you keep it absolutely, 100%, as cliche as that is, yourself, you're going to attract the right people. You're going to get the right people in your circle. That goes with friendships, work. We find ourselves wanting something now and we don't want to wait for it. So creating, that mindset of patience in that as well. Like, we're not going to find our best friend right fucking now because we want it to, but we're going to find the right best friend in time if we allow ourselves to be ourselves. Because if we put a front on, and we pretend that we're somebody we're not, we're attracting people that are attracted to that fake person. And that's not what we want.
Yeah, because then now you're limiting yourself to the persona and not really who you want to be.
Right.
It's almost a detriment, really.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's a really good question. And thank you for answering it.
Yeah.
That's really good. Shit, I got nothing else to expand on that. Second question, very simple question. Do you have any questions for me, man? An open book. However, with all due respect, if I can't answer the question, I'm going to tell you to think of another fucking question. Simple as that. I said with all due respect, so I mean no harm. So shoot it. Whatever you got.
Yeah, man. Why do you sit when you pee? Is that a real thing?
Hemorrhoids.
No, I don't know, man. I guess what is one of your most, this might be a pretty lengthy question response if you're ready for it. What do you think is one of the most rewarding things you've experienced through being able to, have conversations with people on different, levels?
One of the most rewarding things, it's actually a very good question, and it's actually not a very lengthy answer. One of the most rewarding things when I talk to other people and getting their perspectives on life is that I learn about myself more.
Yeah.
In that,
absolutely.
Whether they agree with me or not, if they agree with me, they might point out a different point of view on the same along the same lines of agreeing with me. It's
Right.
just a different point of view. I never thought of it. And I was like, wow, yeah, that strengthens my conviction in what I believe in myself and what I believe. If I'm talking to somebody that challenges that, I still learn about myself. I learn, well, how strong is my conviction really in what I believe? They're literally challenging my beliefs with legit arguments, with legit points of view, facts. And I have to sit back and question myself, hey, is what you believe fully based on considering everything?
Yep.
And so now it challenges my conviction. So it allows me to learn.
Sure.
It allows me to learn more about myself. So what I take away, the best thing I take away from having conversations with people on all levels, from different walks of life, different points of views, is that it allows me not only to learn about them, but allows me to really challenge my convictions and either be stronger in that conviction or realize I might need to start thinking a different way, which allows me to learn more about me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that.
And that's what I think is the most rewarding part about talking to people and learning from them is being challenged. Being challenged allows you to really learn about yourself and what you believe in and how you feel.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I appreciate it. Yeah.
So, and that's why I like on some of the questions I asked you, I say, I challenge you. I don't say I disagree. I just say I challenge. I challenge you to think of it like this, because you don't have to go. I'm not going to say you're wrong, because me saying you're wrong means that I'm implying I want you to change your mind. But me saying I'm challenging you is implying I want you to consider, is your conviction 100% your conviction because of what you believe and what you've been told? Or is it based on facts? Or is it based just on feeling? It allows you to It allows you to evaluate yourself.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
My last question to you, brother, is you're on What Makes Us Fire podcast. Fire because I'm a firefighter, right? I say what makes us fire because I'm a fire. But really, 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 really what it means is what makes us civil servants, i.e., what was it in you that allowed you to be a Marine, to know that what you were getting into was a sacrifice of yourself for something bigger than yourself, for other people. You were sacrificing yourself, your mind, your heart, your time, your effort for
Yeah.
other people.
I don't think I realized the answer to that question until I was almost out. And the reason I say that is because I progressed very quickly through the ranks, and a lot of people didn't have the opportunities that I did. Um, so what that meant for me being able to rank up, so to speak, very quickly, um, is to be able to look at the people who were supposed to be my equal, so to speak, in the rank structure, and look at the shit that they were doing that I didn't like as a junior Marine. And I was like, why the fuck are we doing this? Because a lot of the stuff, most of the stuff has a purpose. Some of it does not. And the Marine Corps way is to scream at the person until they get it through their thick fucking skull. My approach was way different because not everybody responds that way. I had more of an impact on my Marines by telling them I was disappointed, or not even saying it at all, just sometimes giving them a look, or just acting a certain way in disappointment to their actions or something they didn't do or something they did do. So being able to shape and mold those Marines, as their NCO, I think was one of the driving forces, and the things that allowed me to know that I was actually making a difference. And it's cool now, even though I'm out, a lot of my Marines have continued to go on, and I see them. I keep in contact with some of them, and they're up in the top ranks. Some of them are gunnies and master sergeants and first sergeants, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And they'll say, every now and then I'll get a message, and they're like, hey, I just want to thank you for being the type of NCO that you were, because a lot of people didn't understand the other side and the other, not necessarily mentality, but just they couldn't find a way to communicate what they were thinking without screaming. They weren't listening. And it goes back to what you were saying is, communication is a two-way street. It's a two-part thing. It's talking, but listening.
But what I guess my question's more is what was it inside you that allowed you to be that way? Because look, in the military, they're diverse. We're just as diverse
Yeah.
as the general public. And you got
Right.
Muslims, Christians, gays, straight, you white, black, Asian, doesn't matter, Mexican, doesn't. Diversity within the military is
Mm-hmm.
just as diverse
Yeah.
in the general public.
Yeah.
And morality backgrounds, religious backgrounds, the things that we get our moralities from are completely
Mm-hmm.
different. But yet,
Yep.
when you put them into this job in civil service, be it first responder or military, all of a sudden, all those things don't matter anymore. Your
Right.
personal convictions don't matter anymore because the mission, the job,
Yep.
the greater
Yep.
good is more important. What is it that's in us that allows us to negate those things that made us who we are, to not give a shit and just be the people that sacrifice for the greater good, no matter what the greater good is and who's involved?
Yeah. I think it kind of goes along the lines of that last part is, um, allowing. I think the biggest thing was just allowing the other people to know that you weren't going to let them fail. Like, because if I fail, we all fail. So it's that group mentality of, I don't give a shit what the fuck you did before. You can be a felon who's killed 10 people, but at the end of the day, if you've got my back when I'm in a fucking foxhole, or I'm, on guard or in post or something like that, that's kind of what matters. So you think about, um, the people back home that these people have, because you become family, and their situation and stuff like that. And if you let that person down, you're letting their wife down or their kids down. Um, and I think just that sense of failure is what, in my personal opinion, keeps every you know, everybody going at the end of the day.
It it basically it's the bigger purpose, right? I
Yeah.
mean, really,
Yep.
it's the fact that you're a human being, and right now we just want to continue being human beings. We don't want to be dead human beings. We want to
Right.
be human beings that survive and live and hopefully make a difference later on.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think it comes down to that. It comes down
Yep.
to believing that people are worthy because they're people.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, there's asshole people, but just because you're an asshole doesn't mean I'm still not going to go fight for you.
Right. Absolutely.
So, well, JP, brother, I appreciate your time, man. I want to say thank you for opening up. I want to say thank you for being honest. I know the conversation was probably a little bit deeper than you expected. um,
Nah, it's all good.
uh, man, again, thank you so much for being honest and open and allowing me to poke and prod a little bit and to ask personal questions and you being open and honest with them. I think that's going to help a lot of people when they hear your story, especially people that look to you for guidance and for, um, advice. That when they hear this, they're going to be able to hear another form of advice that not a lot of people talk about prior to getting into the military about seeing shit and how it's going to affect you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with the fire service. During our training, and the most we got was, yeah, you're going to see some shit. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're going to see some shit. That's it. None of it was on how to deal with it or how you can handle it, anything else. And I think when people like you that are willing and open and honest with the shit that they did deal with and found a way to deal with it healthy and being able to continue to be who they are honestly, wholly, and completely and not be held back, but yet still help someone is fucking huge. It's massive. And you're somebody that does that. And I appreciate that. So I want to say thank you for doing that. And thank you
Yeah.
for
No.
sharing, man.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate, the opportunity to come on and speak with you and be able to shit at the end of the day, if you can positively influence one person, that one person is a million people to me. You could have a million fucking haters, but if you're positively impacting one person, that's what it's all about. Because that one person needed to hear that message. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I also want to say thank you because you just coming on the show is showing support for the foundation that has just been created. And I told you before, the foundation's to help all civil service, be it military or first responder, get inpatient mental health treatment where they're going to pay for direct costs and or costs of living, where we're going to take care of their family while they're going to take care of themselves. Because I don't want another situation like what happened with you, where you go to the veteran, you go to the VA and you have a shitty experience. Well, there's other avenues that you can take, but fuck, it's expensive. It's
Right.
really fucking expensive. So I don't
Yep.
want finances to be a deciding factor for somebody to just stop getting that help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I created the
Absolutely.
foundation. We are going to make sure that our brothers and sisters in civil service, be it military or first responders, are taken care of. The numbers are not on our side when it comes to mental health and when it comes to suicide. They're not on our side. So I am trying to make a difference and I'm trying to make a dent into those numbers. And you coming
Sure.
on is showing support of that. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I appreciate your mission, man. I support you 100% and everything that the foundation stands for, because I think a lot of people need it that don't even need it, and I think there's a lot of people that do know that they need it, that like you said, they don't have that ability. So I think it's huge. So from me to you, thank you for what you're doing.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Um, yeah, everybody, what makes us fire family? Go follow JP Writes on TikTok. If you want some real talk, be real talk, and you're open to hearing an outside opinion of your own, and you can debate logically, this man is 100% respectful. He's 100% real and honest with what he believes, and he's 100% open to being argued against. He's open to hearing another point of view. And I think that gets lost with some of his content, sure, because your emotions are a little bit too high. Let your emotions down a little bit. Have a conversation, learn from each other. You never know. Maybe you'll change his mind. he won't admit it, but maybe you will change his mind.
It's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot. Man, brother, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you.
What Makes Us Fire Family? This was JP Wrights. You guys get out there, have fun, stay safe, show some love and peace out in the world. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you're going to be the one to make the difference. And being the difference feels fucking amazing. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Peace. JP, you want to say bye, brother?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Everybody be good.
There you go. Be good. All right. What Makes Us Fire Family? That was JP. I want to thank him again for coming on the show, giving us his point of view. Man, I really do appreciate how he kind of opened up a little bit, letting us know that it's okay to not be okay. And the fact that he's showing support to the What Makes Us Fire family and the foundation is really cool. And I appreciate it. He's a good dude. You might not always agree with him and his point of views, but know that just because you don't agree with him doesn't mean he is going to come at you in a disrespectful manner in any way, shape, or form. He knows that you're a human being first, and he respects that. What Makes Us Fire Family, thank you so much for continuing to listen, be a part of, and follow the What Makes Us Fire podcast and the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. We really, really, really appreciate everything that you do for us. I want you guys to please go check out WhatMakesUsFire.com. There, you're going to find a bunch of information on the What Makes Us Fire Foundation and how you can help grow this foundation so we help others. We're still building. We still got a long way to go. It's through you, the What Makes Us Fire family, that this family, foundation, podcast, and idea will grow. Please follow us also on all your social medias and websites: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can also watch the podcast on YouTube at What Makes Us Fire podcast. If you would like to email me, you can always email me at whatmakesusfire@yahoo.com. If you find yourself in a crisis right now and you need help, no matter who you are, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 100% anonymous, confidential, and free. Please reach out. Start the conversation. The number is 1-800-273-8255. If making a phone call and talking to somebody just isn't there for you yet, but you do want help, check out suicidepreventionlifeline.org. There you will find a multitude of resources for you to look, read, listen, and find out how you can start the journey on your mental health. You guys are amazing. The support I've had this past February with everything that I have been through has been phenomenal. It's definitely been humbling to know that no matter what, I have you, the family, to back me, to support me. And I can't thank you all enough for that. You guys, get out there, have fun, stay safe, show some love and peace out in the world. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you might be the one to make the difference. Being that difference really does feel good. Be the change you want to see in the world. And remember, don't let the world dictate how you treat it. You make that decision. you be better. Much love. Peace.